Okay, for lesson 6.2, we're reviewing long division, but we are also adding in a new form of division, which is synthetic division. So go ahead and copy down the title and the essential question. You can go ahead and hit pause. And then here are the steps for synthetic division. So copy all of this down. Again, you'll want to hit pause. And now I would read through these, watch out. Remember to add terms when performing synthetic division and divide throughout. Remember to divide all terms in the numerator and the denominator. So those are things you're going to have to watch for as we go. Okay, so dividing by a monomial. Okay, this is actually pretty easy. All it means is that we have to divide each term by 5ab. So I'm going to write this out. Each one as a separate fraction. And then we're going to simplify each one. So the first one, the 5's will cancel out, the b's will cancel out. And we look at how many a's are left over. We just have an a. Minus. Okay, the next one we have 15 divided by 5, which is 3. A's are going to cancel out. And then the b's, we have 2 b's left on top. So b squared. And then 10 over 5, that becomes 2. And how many a's do we have left? We'd have 2 a's left on the top and 3 b's left on the top. So that's all that one ends up being. It's just a matter of using our rules that we learned last lesson and canceling them out. All right, let's move on now to long division. So remember back to 3rd grade when you learned long division. I'm going to just make up a problem just to kind of refresh our memory. How about 107 divided by 3? Okay, you first look to see, okay, did the 3 go into 1? No. Does 3 go into 10? Yes, it does, 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Then you draw the line and subtract. You get 1. Carry down the 7. How many times does 3 go into 17? That would be 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Draw your line and subtract. And we get a remainder 2. Another way that we wrote that then eventually, once we learned our fractions, was 35 and 2/3. Okay, we're going to do that same concept, but we're going to be using algebra. So all these variables and everything. So let's look at this problem. So this is what goes inside the dividend bar. And x minus 5 goes on the outside. Okay, so here's where we start. So we think, what are we going to put up here so that this times x equals x squared? What times x makes x squared? Well, that is x. So I take x times x is x squared. And take this and I have to distribute it to both of these. X times negative 5 is minus 5x. Okay, let me move all those boxes out of the way and arrows and everything. Okay, now here we go. We're at this point where we drew the line and we subtracted. So here we draw our line and we change the sign. So we'll always say that. Draw the line, change the sign. Missed a box, slide that over. So now our x squareds canceled out. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. If it didn't happen, we had made a mistake somewhere. So x squareds canceled out. How many x's do we have? Negative 2 plus 5 is 3x. And then we bring down the 15. So we're at this point over here where we brought down that 7. So bring down negative 15. Okay, now we go back up here. What times x gives us 3x? So what times x gives us 3x? Well, that would be a 3, but we have to put a plus or minus sign. It's a positive 3, so we put a plus 3. And now we're going to take this 3 times both terms again. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Draw the line, change the signs. Again, I'll move these boxes. Oop, I missed. Get the box out of the way. Get this box out of the way, and that one, and that one. Okay. So those cancel out, and those cancel out. So we have no remainder. So this is our answer right here, x plus 3. Okay, let's look at our next problem here. And it looks like it's a clicker question. We're not going to do it as a clicker question though. We're just going to run through this one. Okay, so what they did is they just showed us another way to show division. Remember, to the negative 1 means that it's in the wrong spot, so it's actually 2 minus a. And really, we want to have it in descending order. So I'm going to write it as negative 2. I'm sorry, negative a plus 2. Okay, so let's write out our long division. A squared minus 5a plus 3. And we get negative a plus 2 in front. What number times negative a gives us a squared? Well, that would be a negative a. Okay, and negative a times negative a is positive a squared. Negative a times 2 is negative 2a. Draw the line, change the signs. Move our boxes out of the way. And a squared's canceled out, and I get negative 3a. Bring down the 3 plus 3. Okay, so now what do I put up on top again? What times negative a equals negative 3a? That would be positive 3. So positive 3 times negative a is negative 3a. Positive 3 times positive 2 is positive 6. Draw the line, change the signs. And this time I get negative 3. Okay, so this is where I was talking about the remainder last time and that we can take it as a fraction. We're going to have to do that with this one. So we put negative 3, we put the negative in front, and we'll put the 3 in the numerator. And then this is the denominator, negative a plus 2. And so if we look at that one, which one is the correct answer if we try to match it up over here? It looks like D is our correct answer. And they just swapped this denominator again. But D is correct. Okay, let's try this using synthetic division. Okay, synthetic division is a completely different method, but for doing the same thing. So here's how we do synthetic division. We start by writing down all of the coefficients. When we have to go the leading coefficients of the highest degree down to the lowest degree. So that's a 1 there, and we're going to leave a little box here with the space. We'll come back to that. We're going to write down 1, negative 4, 6, negative 4. Notice that I did not write any of the x's to go with it. I'm just doing the coefficients. And now in this box that I did, we're going to do the opposite of that number right there. So that would be 2. We do the opposite of it. So since it's negative 2, I do positive. So here's how synthetic division works. We just bring down the 1. You always bring down that first term. Okay, then we're going to take 2 times 1, and that's 2. So I'm going to put a 2 there. Now this is different than the long division. Now we add, and we saw that watch out at the beginning, that you need to add these together. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Now we take this 2 again, times this negative 2, and that's negative 4, and I'll put it right here. Again, we're going to add straight down. So 6 plus negative 4 is 2. So again, we go back to this 2 again, times now this 2. 2 times 2 is 4. I put that up here. And our last number, we always put this dotted line and 0. Okay, so that's the method that we always use, and you wrote down all those steps. The last step then is whatever exponent you started with, you have to end with 1 lower than that. So you go 1, we start 1 lower, so x squared, minus 2, keep descending down, x, plus, we're out of x's, so you go 0, I'm sorry, plus 2, and this number right here would be the remainder. But in this problem, we have no remainder. All right, let's take a look at another one. When we do synthetic division, we need to make sure that the coefficient right here is 1. And in this case, it's not. So I need to divide every single thing by 2. And so this becomes 2y cubed minus 3y squared plus 2y minus a half divided by y minus a half. Okay, so here's where we drop down our coefficients. 2, negative 3, 2, negative 1/2, and then we do that little box out in front, and we do the opposite of this number right here. So this would be positive 1/2. Okay, first step again, just bring down the 2. So here we're going to take 1/2 times 2. 1/2 times 2 is 2. I'm sorry, 1. So that's 1. Add those two together. I'm going to get negative 2. So now I take 1/2 times negative 2. And that's going to be negative 1. Add those two together, and I get 1. I'm going to take 1/2 times 1, which is 1/2. Again, draw your dotted line there, and that makes 0. So we write our answer. Remember, since we had y cubed, we're going to start with y squared. 2y squared minus 2y plus 1, and no remainder, so that's our answer. And then let's just look at this problem so that you can see an example of one that has the remainder. So again, this one has a 2, and I can't have that. I have to divide everything by 2. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut here. I'm going to have 4, negative 6, 2, and 5. Out in front, I'm going to have the opposite of that, so I'm going to have negative 1/2. Start by bringing the 4 down. 4 times negative 1/2 is negative 2. Add those two together, I get negative 8. Negative 1/2 times negative 8 is positive 4. Add them together, I get 6. Negative 1/2 times 6 is negative 3. Draw my dotted line. Now here's where my remainder comes, and that's going to be 2. So I had y cubed, I get 4y squared, because I have to go one less than y cubed, 8y plus 6, and here's my remainder, so I put it 2 over. Now here's the tricky part. We don't go to the divided by, we go back to the original one. No, I'm sorry, we don't go back to the original one. We do go to the divided by one. I'm sorry. Y plus 1/2. Okay, but we can't really have a fraction in a fraction. That's just not proper to do. So here's what we do. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. So the top is going to become 4. And the bottom is going to become, distribute that 2 in, 2y plus 1. So it does become the same as we had it originally. So it's 4y squared minus 8y plus 6 plus that right there. Okay, and the reason I picked the 2 was because the denominator was a 2, so I had to pick the 2 again. Okay, that is the end of lesson 6.2, so you can rate your questions and your summary.